Ask Your Pharmacist is brought to you by Dragnet, your #1 online pharmacy, and the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, and proudly sponsored by Lita Pharmaceuticals, quality healthcare. With support from Vitsifort, your best vitamin C plus zinc supplement from Samus Pharma.
Welcome, everybody. You are welcome again to another exciting and educating episode of Ask Your Pharmacist. My name is Peggy Samuel, and you can find me on Instagram at @FireWithPeggy. Whoever you are, no matter where you've gotten to in this life, it's never too early or too late to start living right. And I hope that by the end of today's discussion, we will all be an inch closer to living right. Remember that this show is proudly brought to you by Dragnet, your #1 online pharmacy. Download the Dragnet app on Google Play Store, the App Store, order all your medications, speak to a pharmacist, and wherever you are, Dragnet will deliver to you. Dragnet is your #1 online pharmacy. This is also brought to you by the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. Amicus Humani Generis. Pharmacists are indeed friends of the human race. This is brought to you by Bell Beverages, dynamic line of beverages filled with vitality and refreshment for your enjoyment. This show is also brought to you by Lita Pharmaceuticals. Litamin is a multivitamin and mineral supplement for total strength and vitality, promotes mental performance, and boosts the immune system. Folaron Zinc is a folic acid, iron, and zinc supplement that effectively reduces the risk of iron deficiency, supports immunity, and promotes health and wellness. Litamox is a single-dose dewormer for treated intestinal worm infections, helps control infections, and helps to increase nutritional uptake. So Litamin, Folaron Zinc, and Litamox are all available nationwide. For bulk purchases, please contact Lita Pharmaceuticals on 030-222-4613. Lita Pharmaceuticals, quality healthcare. This show is supported by the Lady Pharmacist Association of Ghana, LAPAC, and the Young Pharmacist Group, and also supported by Vitsifort, its sugar-free vitamin C supplement from Samus Pharma. For bulk purchases, please contact them on 050-164-6494. We are taking a quick break. The show continues. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Kwame, me go office get home for.
Me and me go hospital class and doctor Choma me chinya me yebi.
Aga ku okro me so ni krom. Enem me so na mutiti se okwa black. Dragnet wo.
Energy.
Dragnet your online pharmacy. A drop here on here bia. And once I come up so. For say put me to ho. Dey di lo no e wo fi. Anya no ko akra wo. Like sales pharmacies are omo between working komo. Afa drop here on here. Info se ni kan ma wo no nia. Abroad no ba ka from Cassandra. Come on, power up so. Get the woman of here. Our prescription around. And running out of water. My order. In the next 5 minutes, I'm telling you.
That's it.
Yes, you heard right. With Dragnet, life is now made simple. You too can download the Dragnet app on the Play Store or the App Store and experience a world of convenience. Dragnet, your #1 online pharmacy.
The song is a vibe.
It's a hit, I tell ya.
Everybody is talking
You
about
know, say what? So, ladies, I want to introduce you to something special. Just wait for me. So here we go. Is the Bell Cola and the Bell Squeeze. Just try it.
Never a dull moment this festive season with Bell Cola and Bell Squeeze, now available in cans. Feel the fizz as it excites your taste buds as every sip takes you on an adventure. And they're perfect mixers for your cocktails and mocktails.
Say what?
Grab a can of Bell Cola and Bell Squeeze in every shop and pub near you. Another member of the Bell Can range and a quality product from Bell Aqua. Bell Cans, refreshing style, taste of adventure. This advert is FDA approved. Bell Cans are now available on Jumia Ghana.
Welcome back. You are watching Ask Your Pharmacist. And today we are coming to you from the University of Professional Studies, UPSA, here in the Greater Accra region of Ghana. And our topic for discussion is sexually transmitted infections. And our guest pharmacists are, first of all, this particular person is very special. We have two important people actually, but this is Pharm Lucia Adai Intiri. She's the chairperson for the LAPAG and immediate past chair of PSGH Greater Accra region. Let's give it up to her. She's looking very gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
And on my immediate left is Dr. Richmond Amma. He is the president of the Young Pharmacists Group of PSGH. Another big man. Let's give it up for him. How you all doing today?
Hello, we are fine.
Hi, doing very well.
That's good,
Yeah.
that's good. All right, so today we are discussing sexually transmitted infection, and I would love us to just go straight at it. I will start with you, from Lucia. What are STIs?
Okay, thank you. So STIs are sexually transmitted infections. Now it's important for me to clarify certain things. So the first part is that sexually transmitted infections are a little different from sexually transmitted diseases. Now, the diseases is when you have the signs and symptoms. So you're able to say that you have pain, you have a discharge, you have a certain bleeding, that kind of thing, or you can see something coming up on your skin. Then you have the disease. With the infection, usually you don't have the symptoms. So you don't have signs and symptoms. So it's possible that we could have people walking around with the infection without a disease. It's important. That's the first part. And then sexually transmitted infections are usually infections that are gotten through sexual intercourse with somebody who is infected. So there has to be one person who is infected. And in these days where people are chilling, I don't want to say Netflix and chill, but people are chilling in a way where you could have sex with multiple partners. Then if one person is infected, the whole ring of people are actually infected. And also, you can actually transmit the diseases either from the vagina and the penile interaction, or any interaction with the anus, or an interaction with the mouth. So any form of oral sex can actually lead to an STI or an STD. So it's important. I don't think that, oh, I'm kissing, I'm doing whatever I want to do with my mouth, I won't get a disease. You could get a disease from kissing or having any interaction sexually with the mouth.
Okay, I love the fact that you had to differentiate between STI and STD, because I think that we do use that interchangeably. You know, people come and be like, oh, I have STD and STI. So Pharm, I want us to really focus on gonorrhea and chlamydia, because it's the most prevalent when you go on campuses. And I want you to walk us through the risk factors and the mode of transmissions.
Now, talking about gonorrhea and then chlamydia, majority statistics indicates that about 80% of these infections are gotten through sex,
right,
just as she said. But then there's also auto-inoculation. There is also a form where you, just as she said, you share needles and all
right,
these sharp objects. There can also be a vertical transmission. That is mother transferring it
wow,
to their unborn babies.
Wait, so gonorrhea can be transferred from the mother to a child?
Gonorrhea is not one of them.
Okay.
But then syphilis is one of the STIs,
wow,
which can also be transferred vertically from a mother to an unborn child.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me come back to you, Lucia. Let's talk about signs and symptoms. Let's differentiate the man and the women. So you being a woman, you know, what are the first signs and symptoms you would notice when you have, like, you know, gonorrhea or chlamydia?
So with gonorrhea and chlamydia, the three main signs and symptoms that you really would encounter are pain. So as a woman, you could have pain in the pelvic area.
Okay.
But usually that would come at the complicated level, because usually when you have it initially, you may not have the pain. The second thing is discharge. So you could have discharge, especially for chlamydia, you could have discharge either from the vagina area or the anal area.
Wow.
Yes. Sometimes you could have developed also something in the throat when it comes to gonorrhea. So you would realize that you're not very comfortable. You may be coughing sometimes. or have some irritation, and then we need to look at it and see what's going on in the throat.
Okay.
And then there's bleeding. So at the complicated level, you could have bleeding from any of the orifices.
So bleeding when you're urinating, or
yes, or sometimes when you're not urinating, you could have
and
blood.
it's not your menstrual flow. It's
no,
just
it's not.
Wow.
Yes, it's just bleeding when at this complicated level,
Okay.
and it's the same thing for men. So most of the time, you have men come into the pharmacy and say that I feel pain when I urinate. That's usually the first sign. Or they would say that it is not flowing like how I want it to flow. So with women, you have a discharge. With men, it might be difficulty. There might be difficulty in urinating, and then bleeding. Yes. Sometimes with gonorrhea and chlamydia, you realize that you have a more thick discharge.
Wow.
And then you could have the bleeding also. And then the colors could slightly change towards the brownish area, especially when it stays with you over a long period of time.
Okay. Wow, this is getting very educating, and I want us to hold our horses with that. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back, talk about complications and how to prevent gonorrhea and chlamydia. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
I attest for Mungosana Musha. Ask your pharmacist.
Welcome back, everybody. You are watching Ask Your Pharmacist. Today we are coming to you from UPSA, and our topic that we are still discussing is sexually transmitted infections with Pharm Lucia Ade Intiri and Dr. Richmond Ama. We left off talking about the signs and symptoms. Now we are going to discuss complication. Who would love to take that up?
With complications, talking about gonorrhea, for instance, it can lead to infertility because the microorganism can scar the fallopian tubes, and so it will prevent the swimming of the semen to fertilize the ovaries during fertilization. And that is one. There is also an aspect where most of the guys get swelling. That is called epididymitis, swelling of the scrotal sac. And there is also another form in terms of gonorrhea. You can get arthritis of the joint.
Wow.
Yeah, that is gonococcal arthritis, and then gonococcal endocarditis. That is an infection or a complication of the heart. And then the last of it is a form of something that we call gonococcal meningitis. So it can also affect the brains. These are some of the end-stage complications associated. Maybe my sister would like to add something.
Yes. So these are some of the complications. So it could deteriorate. You will have liver cirrhosis and things like that, and some of the infections, hepatitis and co, and HIV deteriorate up to death. So STDs, STIs can kill you if you don't manage it very well.
That sounds very, very deadly. Now I want to really talk about prevention, because I don't think anybody here would want to really go through all of these things that you're talking about. So let's talk about prevention. Let me start with you, Doc.
Yeah. So prevention is very ultimate. It is very prime. I would rather prefer that we prevent than to manage or to treat, because some of the STIs we cannot even treat them. Like HIV, for instance, you can't treat it. You just have to manage it. And so it is best for us to prevent. What can we do? I early on stated that about 80% of the STIs are contracted through sexual intercourse. So what can we do? We need to abstain from sex. If you cannot abstain, then it is very, very important that you use condoms. It is quite unfortunate. One observation that I made is that most of the people who get these STIs and STDs are those that are very naive, those that have not really experienced it, or they did not plan in engaging in sexual intercourse. So at the end of the day, because they didn't plan, they don't take any form of form of measure. What they usually go in are the contraceptives, so that they will prevent pregnancy. But what of the extreme end? So let us try and then abstain. Let us use condoms.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember when HIV came up and people were really scared and everything, the adverts used to say that there was this ABC when it comes to preventing, sexually transmitted diseases. The first one is abstinence. Dr. Amma has spoken about it, which is not having sex, because, it's sexually transmitted. So by logical thinking, if you don't have sex, then you won't be able to actually contract it. But it's difficult to tell people not to have sex these days. So if you must have sex, then we move to the B, which is be faithful. So be faithful means that don't have multiple partners. And sometimes that is your control mechanism is, okay, I'm not going to have multiple partners, so I would have sex with only one person. And sex being oral, anal, vaginally, or penally. Now there's the other side of it where your partner could be having multiple partners. Yeah. And that means that you also have multiple partners. So it's important that there is a B1 and a B2. So the B1 is you being faithful.
Right.
And making sure that you reduce your partners. Yeah. The B2 is actually agreeing with your partner that you are both going to ensure that you both have sex with just the other person. It's difficult. So wait, get married, that's what Christianity says. If you can. But if you can't, then that we come to the C. The C is condom use. I know people say that they don't enjoy sex when they use condoms. There's a male condom, there's a female condom. But if you think of the fact that one simple act of sex for less than 5 minutes can actually let you end your life, that you can die, that you can have an infection that for the rest of your life you have to manage, like HIV, where you'll be taking medicines, or like hepatitis, where you could have your liver damaged in a year and die, or with gonorrhea, chlamydia, where you could have infertility, then it is important that if you can, use condom. So even if your partner says, I don't enjoy it, it's better to have reduced enjoyment than to have reduced life.
Thank you so much. I love the ABCs of life. I think these are very practical, and if we could, employ that into our daily activities, we should be okay. Now, I know people are dying to know how we can treat, either gonorrhea, chlamydia, or any kind of STI. So let me start with you, Doc. Treatment for gonorrhea or chlamydia. Then I'll come to you, Lucia.
Okay, so this is Ask Your Pharmacist. And most often than not, people do go to the pharmacy. They are usually the first point of call when they are having these syndromic symptoms of STI. In terms of treatment, I will advise, we don't have the liberty to talk about medications, but medications are usually the number one thing that we use in managing these things. But then there are other forms of management that we can do. That is personal hygiene. Okay. I spoke about it earlier. It is number one. So you just take very good care of yourself, so that you don't inoculate or you don't get that infection. I think that is basically what I would talk about in terms of treatment or management.
All right, Lucia.
Okay, so I think that, as the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. So if you can prevent, if you think of medicines and the side effects, prevent. If it's possible for you to find any other alternate medicines, go through the complications if you can prevent. If you can't prevent and you actually contract some of these infections, then, as Dr. Amma said, ask your pharmacist. So if you have any signs and symptoms, ask your pharmacist. If you are in doubt of how you feel sexually, ask your pharmacist. If you need clarification on a medication that somebody gave to you, ask your pharmacist. If you are unsure whether you should have sex with somebody or not, whether it could lead to, STI, STD, come and ask your pharmacist. Yes. If you want to get some tests done and you're not sure which one, ask your pharmacist.
Okay. So I take it as though there are treatments for it. There are lots of medications for treating gonorrhea, chlamydia, and any kind of STIs. If only you can always ask your pharmacist. So if you're not too sure, walk to the nearest pharmacy, ask your pharmacist. All right, so let's open it up to our crowd. Maybe, we have a couple of people that would have some questions for our experts. So we would take some few questions, if there is any.
Please, I want to ask, please, you were saying that we should text regularly. I want to know whether we should text maybe at 3 months or maybe after 5 months.
So how often do we have?
How often do you have?
So it depends on you, and like I've mentioned, if you don't have multiple partners, then it could be something that you do annually, once a year. If you have multiple partners, then maybe every week. I mean, if you, let's say you know that you are engaging maybe 3 guys, and the other guys also have maybe wives or girlfriends, then it's important for you to check regularly so that you can get treatment as soon as possible and prevent some of these complications of infertility and other things like that.
This is nothing to play with. All right, more questions? Okay.
My name is Thomas. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one was about, you mentioned that you can get chlamydia through oral sex. And I wanted to know, is it only true that you can get it through oral sex that you can get the chlamydia? And the second one was,
is it true if you can get chlamydia through oral sex?
Only.
Okay.
And the second one is gonorrhea. Can it cause infertility in men? Like
in males?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Doc, if you want to touch on that briefly.
Yeah. It is true. That is why we mentioned it, that you can get it through oral sex. So if the lady, the female, has it, and then you do oral, I don't want to say something. I don't want to say, then you do oral, of course you can get it. And then your second question again, what was the second question?
The second question was regarding fertility.
Yes, gonorrhea can cause infertility in males as well. Yeah.
Okay.
It can.
So, okay.
Okay, I'm Susan.
Hi, Susan.
Madam, talking about the symptom of STIs, you mentioned of bleeding, pain, and then...
So there's pain, there's discharge, and then, yes.
I heard of an infection called thrush. And then with that one too, it comes to the same symptoms. Yes. So as if, like, how will I be able to differentiate if I'm having a thrush or STIs?
So thrush is more of the candida, and that is more of a fungal infection. And that you could usually get from using a WC or washroom where an infected person has used, the WC. So like I mentioned, that would be more closer to the UTIs, urinary tract infection, where you realize that you've used a washroom that is already infected, and that is why you are getting, that kind of signs or symptoms that you have. But you realize that with sexually transmitted infections, you should have had sex to be able to get it. Even though, yes, some of them also, you have to use a washroom to be able to contract it. UTIs have a way of being managed or being treated, and STIs have a way of being treated. So when you come to the pharmacy to come and ask your pharmacist, we'll ask you certain questions. Have you had sex recently in the last, let's say, 1 week, 1 month? All of that will help navigate. So when you come, don't be shy. When we're asking you, don't be laughing and be lying to us. Because when you lie to us, we'll use the lies to treat you.
All right, so just to make sure that we all enjoyed and actually learned a lot about today's discussion, Lita Pharmaceutical has given us these amazing freebies for 3 lucky winners. Okay, but before that, I would ask you a couple of questions. So let's give it up for Lita Pharmaceuticals. Okay, so the first question is, what is the difference between STI and STD? Where they are yakadada. Okay, I see you first. The lady in black.
Okay, so my name is Isabella. So with STIs, you don't mostly see symptoms, but with STDs, there are more symptoms.
Do you agree with that? Okay, good. Let's give it up for her. Alrighty, so my next question is, list 3 risk factors or mode of transmissions of STIs. Why a question? Okay, the gentleman over there.
Okay, so my name is Kweku.
Hi, Kweku.
So, thank you very much. The first thing is through penile and vaginal interaction. And the second one is through anal interaction. And then the third and fourth is through kissing and also body. Yeah.
Give it up for Kweku. I think he got that right. Wait, we're training you now. Okay, so the last one is, list 3 ways we can prevent STIs. The lady in white at the back.
The first thing to do is to abstain from sex. And then the second thing, if you want to have sex, use a condom. You said 3.
3, yes.
And then the last...
Go in.
And then be faithful.
Be
like
faithful.
One sex.
Yes, let's give it up for her. All right, so can I have all my lucky winners walk up to the stage? And this is coming from Lita Pharmaceuticals. So Lita is giving you all of these amazing stuff to our lucky winners today who got all the questions right. Let's give it up for them as they walk to the stage. All right, so this is for you, Kweku. What do you say to Lita Pharmaceuticals? Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Give it up for them. Alrighty, so Dose for Healthy Living is up next. Don't go anywhere, we will be right back.
Today on Dose for Healthy Living, ask your pharmacist. Don't hesitate to ask your pharmacist questions if you have concerns about your medications. Remember, your pharmacist is your friend and an important resource for all medication-related questions and concerns.
Welcome back and thank you so much for sticking with us. You were watching Ask Your Pharmacist. Unfortunately, this is where we end today's discussion. It has been educating and very didactic, and I really hope that we did learn a lot about today's discussion. Remember that this show was proudly brought to you by Dragnet, your #1 online pharmacy. Download the Dragnet app on the Google Play Store or the App Store. Order all your medications, speak to a pharmacist, and wherever you are, Dragnet will deliver to you. Dragnet, your #1 online pharmacy. This is also brought to you by the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. Amicus Humani Generis, pharmacists are indeed friends of the human race. This is also brought to you by the Bell Beverages, dynamic line of beverages filled with vitality and refreshment for your enjoyment. And Lita Pharmaceuticals. So Litamin is a multivitamin and mineral supplement for total strength and vitality, promotes mental performance and boosts the immune system. So person when you denote me adwuma kokanya me do be pacho. Pharmacy bia obeko bia catch a pharmacist say upe Litamin e shemu 30 de bia for baako e be boa afimu nyina. Folaron Zinc is a folic acid, iron, and zinc supplement power combo that effectively reduces the risk of iron deficiency, supports immunity, and promotes health and wellness. Into so much about forma, and your mojidru bia no befa keke. Oko pharmacy a, one pharmacist ne enkasa se ba no mojidru dia kache ne se upe Folaron Zinc. Litamox is a single dose dewormer for treating intestinal worm infections, controls infections, and helps to increase nutritional uptake. It is the whole year, and that's 2 years. And I say, I check to do baby, I won't do where me, I'm a pouch. Deworming is very, very important. And I said, Bunny deworman, so catch a pharmacist, they said, Upe Litamox. Litamin, Folaron Zinc, and Litamox are all available nationwide. For bulk purchases, contact Lita Pharmaceuticals on 030-222-4613. Lita Pharmaceuticals, quality healthcare. This show is supported by the Lady Pharmacists Association of Ghana, LAPAC, and the Young Pharmacists Group, YPG, and also supported by Seafood, sugar-free vitamin C plus zinc supplement from Samus Pharma. Contact them on 050-164-6494. Like I always say, whatever that goes in you is merely irreversible. Always ask your pharmacist before you swallow that pill. My name is Peggy Sano, and you can find me on Instagram at FieryPeggy. And if you missed any of our episodes, go on YouTube at My Pharmacist TV. Like, share, comment, and make sure you subscribe. I'll be coming your way same time next week. Until then, be safe, be kind, and be healthy. Bye-bye for now.
Ask Your Pharmacist was brought to you by Dragnet, your #1 online pharmacy, and the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, and proudly sponsored by Lita Pharmaceuticals. Lita Pharmaceuticals, quality healthcare. With support from Seafood, your best vitamin C plus zinc supplement from Samus Pharma.